I'm a dude who used to write erotica, but I pretended to be a woman to get more readers. Warning, some audiences may find this content disturbing. View at your own discretion. Welcome to the House of Reddit. Today, we share some r/ask Reddit posts from Reddit. I'm a dude who used to write erotica, but I pretended to be a woman to get more readers. When I put in my posts, barely anyone read my stories, but once I started putting I was getting hundreds of likes and comments on my posts. I also created a character named Ella and I used to respond to the comments in character and people loved her. I'm guessing if they knew I was a dude all along, then I'm sure she wouldn't have been so loved lol. Also, 95% of shit you read on NSFW subs are dudes. Only most of theirs are over the top and unrealistic. I kept mine realistic and easy to imagine and I've gotten many comments praising me for how realistic they were. Also, you know what? Writing as a woman was pretty interesting. I had to do a lot of research about how sex, masturbation, all that feels like for a woman so my stories would come across more realistic. I had to make sure I didn't make my character a complete sub that fucks every man she meets like what others write because fuck that, and I made sure she was funny and when dudes got too weird and too creepy, she wasn't afraid to stand up for herself. I rented a crappy motorbike for a trip in the mountains. I returned it to the owner broken and damaged. In the second year of college I went on a trip with my GF to the Himalayas for a week. It was a very low budget trip with only the bare minimum, staying at homestays, making our own food. We chose to rent a cheap motorcycle rather than travel in a bus. It was the cheapest bike I could get at the rental shop. It looked a little old and so I asked the owner if it was in reliable condition and he assured me it was. The first 3 days, the bike had many problems like starting and handling at high altitudes. It was now our 4th day riding on it. We were in a remote area, on our way to a lake when I was riding through a dirt track where I accidentally rode it into a patch of deep sand. The wheel sank and got stuck, and we both fell over. We were riding slow so it was not a hard fall, but the exhaust pipe burned my GF on her leg. We got back up and dragged the bike out of the ditch and saw that the exhaust pipe which had already looked iffy broke from the mount and came off. I realized right then that he had in fact given us the wrong bike because it broke simply after getting stuck in soft sand. I turned the bike on and it made loud popping sounds and the engine sound was so loud, like it was gonna tear through my eardrums. There was also a little fuel leaking out with the exhaust now. I had no idea about motorcycles and their parts and it was starting to dawn on me, what a stupid decision I had made by renting the cheapest bike and trusting the guy. We both looked at each other mortified and had no idea what to do. I had no idea if it was safe to ride, if it would run with a loud sound or would explode after 100 feet. We sat around the spot, clicking photos and eating until another car passed after maybe an hour. We stopped it and spoke to the driver for help. He told us that we could ride the bike for a short distance and to protect our ears from the sound, and find help at the next village. I got on it and rode it, scared shitless with the broken exhaust roaring behind my leg and my GF holding the broken piece and very slowly made it to the next shitty village. It was like a ghost town, in the middle of the day. The village had only recently opened for tourists and I was just praying to the God I didn't believe in to help me find a mechanic there. We saw a few soldiers that directed us to an army garrison which had a mechanic. He welded it back into place and the sound reduced but said it needed to be replaced since it was already cracked for a long time and couldn't be ridden like this for long. The mount too was weak and would break again. The problem was that I had not told my parents about this trip, since they wouldn't allow me. And so we had saved just about enough money ourselves for a short simple trip. And we could not call or talk to any friend to wire money because there was no cell coverage in the entire region. The trip turned into a fiasco and we had to cancel our next 2 days' plans. I spent most of our remaining money on getting the pipe welded and transporting the bike on a truck back to the town. We reached the town and I rode the bike for the last mile hoping it would not disintegrate before I reach his shop. The owner gave the motorcycle a quick look from all sides at which point I tried to distract him with the 3 bottles of gasoline I had left with me, unused and told him to keep it for free since I couldn't go sell it now. He was happy to take it. I gave him his rental money and said nothing about anything else. We had no more money to blow on renting another bike and traveling for 2 more days, nor were we in the mood for that. We stayed back in our homestay, exploring the town until it was time to return. On the trip back home, we kept looking at each other with stupid smiles. It turned into a fiasco due to our stupid decisions, and we felt guilty about lying to the shop owner. If he did try to fix his crappy bike, it would have cost him like $40. Gave me the worst bike possible but kept inviting us over for lunch. I kept telling my GF that we'd go back and pay him regardless, but who knows when that next trip will be. GF is now an ex, but she still reminds me often that we owe him some money. I hit my mom in the past and cannot forgive myself over it. I hit my mom in the past, and I regret every second of it. My father died in my adolescence. I love my mom, and I'm sure she loves me too. I am 17 years old. My mom is a little over 50 years of age. She has weak knees, diabetes and high blood pressure. I know this does not look good on me. I know what I did was terrible. But it's not like started acting like this out of nowhere. I'm generally a very calm person. A little backstory on my mom. She is a sort of like a helicopter parent. She is controlling about most of the things I do. She constantly reminded me of my family's mental history. My mom is very close to me. Sometimes we sleep in the same bed. Don't worry, that's normal in my culture. My mom deeply worries about my study. She worries to the point that when I was depressed and literally did nothing, she called a relative who is a psychiatrist and he brought 2 more doctors with him. They told me that I have to study for my future. From then on I'm doing good in my studies. My mom literally told me that her only will to live is to give me a good education. I am on the verge of completing my school life. I couldn't take it anymore. I did not hit her hard. I usually just pushed her. But more than once I slapped her, once I threw a remote which hit her forehead. That was not the only time I hit her. I did hit her hard once many years ago. I think I was 14 to 15 then. I regret every second of it. I'm literally tearing up as I'm typing now. I don't know what to do. I am constantly reminded of what I did. I asked for forgiveness from my mom. She said she forgave me, and I know she did. But I cannot forgive myself. It also doesn't help that I have anxiety. Stole from a family in need and ended up receiving praise when I gave it back. My aunt on my grandfather's side, who I never met, died in a horrible car accident down the road from where she lived. I believe the only reason she didn't survive was solely on her not wearing a seatbelt. It was a tragic story and my whole family seemed affected. She left behind 7 children, who I also never met. And because she was a single mom, those children went to another aunt of mine. They were all across the country, so the only thing my grandparents could do was write about the accident on a jar and set them out on counters of our local gas stations. They had 4, I believe. We collected money for the family for a few weeks. One week we were counting at the kitchen table, and when my grandpa got up to do something else, I snuck dollars under my butt in my chair. I don't know how many times I did this, it was so long ago. My grandma even came and sat next to me, and I was so scared of her asking me to get up to grab something. But I got away with it. They sent the money off and everyone was happy. The next week, they were counting money again. I hadn't taken any because I never spent what I already took the week before. And they were finished counting, and I still remember it. It was a certain amount under $1,000. And they were like, "That's cool, almost $1,000. And of course I got up and ran to my room and grabbed every dollar I took the week before and ran back to the kitchen and sacrificed all my money for these kids and this family. I made the amount exactly $1,000 with nothing left over. I was such a fantastic, wonderful kid. Man, my grandparents treated me with so much extra love and praise. Then I got a call from the family, all the children, my aunt, crying about my selfless act, and how kind I was. They even sent me an envelope full of drawings and thank yous. I never believed in God my whole life, but that was some strange evidence right there. If you enjoy this video, please be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe. If you have any suggestions for future videos, please let us know in the comments below. Turn on the notifications to know when we post new videos. Thank you for coming to the House of Reddit.